discussion? So ordered. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 401 by Senator Wolk, an act relating to taxation.
Mr. President, SB 401 is the conformity bill, which conforms state tax law to the federal tax changes that have been made since 2005. The measure will provide needed relief to struggling homeowners by forgiving income resulting from short sales. It will ensure that renewable energy projects are not unduly taxed on federal grants and does not contain the erroneous claim for refund penalty that the governor objected to. That has been removed. While the measure is not urgency or a tax levy, we have a letter from the Franchise Tax Board stating that they will immediately direct taxpayers upon signature to exclude income from short sales and renewable energy grants. It's time to move this forward. I ask for an aye vote.
Debate or discussion, members? Debate or discussion? Senator Calderon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I rise to support this measure. The mortgage debt tax relief provision in this bill will provide financial shelter for tens of thousands of Californians who've lost their homes and their dreams in the housing market crash. And it's about time that we gave these folks a helping hand. They've lost their homes with a short sale or foreclosure, and they've sat by fretting over a whopping state tax bill that they couldn't afford. They've been wondering if this tug of war between the governor and the legislature was ever going to end. I know what they were thinking because they've been flooding my office with calls. I'm hopeful that this measure passes off this floor today, and if it does, I urge the governor to waste no time in signing it. I'm only sorry that we couldn't pass this important measure sooner for Californians who were feared that financial catastrophe was just a few short days away. I ask for your aye vote on this important measure.
Further debate or discussion? Senator Denham.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, first I'd like to commend the author for addressing a very important issue. Certainly in my district, we have not only the highest foreclosure rate in the state, but the highest foreclosure rate in the nation. And this is not relief for people that have lost their homes. This is an issue of fairness and equity. If you have lost your home and you've had to do a short sale, the bank's writing off the amount of money is not a give me to somebody. It's just saying you don't have to pay taxes on something you don't have, on something that may have been inflated in the process. But my question to the author would be, we have certainly seen some challenges in 2009, and if you've already paid your taxes, you will have an opportunity to go back in 2009 and fix that. If you've not paid your taxes, you'll be able to address that adjusted rate as soon as the governor signs this bill. But what about the hundreds of homeowners that lost their home in 2008? They're still saddled with this debt. They're still stuck in bankruptcy having to pay a tax on something they didn't receive an income on. They've lost their homes, whether it's 2008, 2007, or prior. This home foreclosure crisis didn't just start in 2009. Shouldn't we be fair and equitable to everybody that's lost their home? So it is something that I would like the author to address in her close. Thank you.
Discussion, further debate or discussion? If not, Senator Wolk, you may close.
This is important that we enact this. I would like to respond to Senator Denham by assuring him that, in fact, we did take care of Senator Denham. We did take care of 07-08. Senator Machado did that in SB 1055. What we're doing in this bill is extending it 09, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we've accomplished that. Let's move forward on this bill. I ask for an aye vote.
Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested, Alquist, Ashburn, I. Calderon. I. Cedillo. Cogdill. Corbett. I. Correa. Cox. I. Denham. No. DeSaulnier. I. Ducheney. I. Dutton. Flores. I. Hancock. I. Harmon. Hollingsworth. No. Huff. No. Kehoe. I. Leno. I. Liu. I. Lowenthal. I. Maldonado. Negrete McLeod. I. Oropesa. I. Padilla. I. Pavley. Price. I. Romero. I. Runner. No. Semidian.
Aye.
I. Steinberg. I. Strickland. No. Walters. No. Wiggins. Wolk. I. Wright. I. Wyland. No. Yee. Yee. I. Pavley. I. Cedillo. I. Dutton. No. Onnested. No.
Call the absent members.
Alquist. Cogdill. Correa. Harmon. Maldonado. Wiggins. Mr. President, ayes 24, noes 9.
Ayes 24, noes 9. The amendments are concurred in, and the bill is passed. Senator Pavley, for what purpose do you rise, Senator?
I request unanimous consent to take up Senate Bill 77 without reference to file.
Without objection. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 77 by Senator Pavley, an act relating to energy, making an appropriation therefore, and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Yes, thank you very much. Members, this is a bill we addressed during an extraordinary session, and it passed off this floor with no opposition. There's no opposition to the bill, and it just passed off the Assembly floor with bipartisan support. What this bill does, it's a voluntary program to spur the creation of thousands of jobs and reduce the cost to consumers, especially small business and homeowners, for energy improvements. It builds on the PACE program, the Property Assessed Clean Energy program that's been working very well in cities and counties around the state, and many of the local governments in your districts are very excited about this program. So what does this bill do? It creates a new program in the state treasurer's office. And I should back up and let you know that this is a voluntary program. Voluntary for the homeowner or business if they want to participate. It's voluntary for the local governments if they want to participate. But what this does is aggregate all these loans in the treasurer's office so you can lower the cost of financing and making it more attractive to the lending institutions. There is a funding source from the California Energy Commission who confirmed there's sufficient money for this program. It's both an appropriate source, it puts no pressure on the general fund, and it is not a loan program. Once again, this bill has broad support from both Republicans and Democrats. There is no opposition to the bill, and I ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Senator Cox.
Mr. President, members, as you will recall, this is a bill that I rose to support several weeks ago. You perhaps remember I said I was always looking for a Pavley bill that I could vote for and asked my colleagues to vote for. We looked at this bill very carefully and at the time voted for it and encouraged colleagues to vote for it. Unfortunately, it went back to the Assembly. And I don't need to tell you what happens when things are here and go back to the Assembly. Frequently, they mess things up. And so we were able to talk to Ms. Pavley to say, Ms. Pavley, if this bill comes back the way the Assembly wants it to come back, this is a bill that I can't vote for. I'll be looking for another Pavley bill over the next 4 or 5 years to vote for.
You've reached your quota?
But at any rate, she was able to fix that which we believed was wrong with it. I think this is a good bill. Ask my colleagues Republican colleagues to vote for a Pavley bill. It may very well be your first occasion, but at any rate, Ms. Pavley, I want to tell you that I intend to vote for this bill one more time.
Further debate or discussion? Further debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Senator Pavley, you may close.
I think that was an appropriate close. I ask for your aye vote.
Secretary, call the roll. One moment, Secretary. Mr. Secretary. Any objection to the unanimous roll call? Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? Aye. Alquist? Ashburn? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye. Mr. President, ayes 33, no 0.
Ayes 33, noes 0. The bill is passed. Senator Correa, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
I'd like to take up AB 790.
File item 62 by any chance? Yes. File item 62.
62.
AB 790. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 790 by Assemblymember Hernandez, an act relating to state employees, making an appropriation therefore and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, this bill provides for a continuous appropriation for state employee pay. Essentially, what this bill does is allow state employees to continue to be paid their full salaries absent an on-time budget.
Debate or discussion? Senator Denham.
Mr. President, members, this is a bill that we had already heard. In fact, we've put amendments across. I want to pay our bills. I think that especially law enforcement, those that are brave men and women that are putting their lives on the line, absolutely should be paid in our budget without hesitation. Anybody who has a contract with our state should be the same way. Now, Senator Cox had a bill that would have granted continuous appropriation for all of our businesses that are doing business with the state, because we all know that when you have a state contract, if you're going to have to plan 2-3 months of extra revenue because the state's going to hold up your money, then you're going to build that cost into the way you do business. So the message that we send to the businesses around the state is, if you're doing business with the state, you better charge us more because we don't run very well as a state. So that amendment was certainly shot down. I understand the opposite point of view that we may not have the money in those summer months. But I also offered another amendment. And I'm amazed at the hypocrisy here, because this comes up every single year. The aged, the blind, the disabled should not be shut out of this process. Just because you're on dialysis, you should not be subject to our budget constraints. We should not only be paying all of our bills, but certainly we should put a priority on the most deserving in our society. Don't hold them out as the political pawn in our budget system. We may not agree. Republicans and Democrats may fight out budgets, but don't hold hostage those that can't fend for themselves. The blind, aged, disabled should be paid, as well as the union contracts that we have here. A very simple amendment. Now, some of the small contractors that were in Senator Cox's his amendment, I've met with many of them. In Oakland, when we were talking to the dialysis centers, it wasn't just about the patients that were on dialysis in the dialysis center that was being held up on payments. It was the small, independent driver whose company now shut down. So not only were the payments being held up to the dialysis center, but the transportation that gets our dialysis patients from home on a daily basis for this life-threatening issue couldn't get there for the vital services that they needed. Why wouldn't we pay those contracts? Why do we shut down those small businesses in the process or tell them, you're not going to get paid for a couple of months, stop carrying these individuals? We've got a greater duty to the citizens of this state. Now again, I support paying our bills. I support paying our unions. But you can't leave the most neediest in our society to get stuck in that budget game year after year. Very simple amendment. I've brought it up for the last several years. We had the opportunity to put it into this bill, and shame on us for not doing it.
Senator Ducheney.
I appreciate Senator Denham's concerns about hypocrisy. However, given that the governor and Republicans in this House generally and in the other House additionally, every year for the last 3 years have proposed to zero out many of the same programs you're saying you want to pay, it is problematic to support a continuous appropriation. When those contracts are precisely the ones that people are saying they want to cut, precisely the ones that people are saying they want to get rid of, and with the contracting issue, let me just, Senator Correa and I did discuss with Senator Cox the question about the contracting entities who don't get paid. They are in a slightly different position than the employees because there is no effect on them usually until at the earliest August. Because in July they're being paid for June, those payments do go out. In July, on July 1st, employees stop getting paid, which is a very different kind of situation to be in. We understand the concern about paying interest on them, and I think Senator Cox had a good point on that, and we had agreed to continue to work on that issue to do it as best as we might be able to do in the future and figure out which ones you could do and in what manner. But it's a different issue than direct payments. Frankly, the controller is not in a position, his computers, given that nobody's funded them for the last several years, is not in a position to actually adjust payments down and adjust them back up. That would be hugely expensive and probably not even feasible at this point. And on the other ones, I think we do try to continue those payments to contractors. And again, they are paid in July. It isn't until August that that becomes an issue, and there is some opportunity for us to address that in a better way if, in fact, the budget goes past July 1. But I think it's been a big problem for them the last few years because every budget has proposed that they should be zeroed out, and it's very difficult for you to plan to pay when there hasn't been agreement to appropriate money for those programs at all.
Further debate or discussion? Senator Strickland.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I would just like to say from my perspective, I've co-authored or authored a bill on a continuous appropriation for things like nursing homes. I find it interesting what a budget is a blueprint of our priorities. And when you look here, you're saying state employees are more important on this continuous appropriation than people like nursing homes, blind, the aged, the disabled. So you're actually, by this vote, because you didn't take amendments from this side of the aisle, you're saying state employees are more important than those folks who are in nursing homes who are having a tough time keeping their doors open when we have delayed budgets. You're saying that state employees are more important than a lot of those folks who we just passed a resolution for some of the folks that need the help the most. And you're saying they're not the most important. Okay, well, then you should take the amendment. You know what? If you do believe that it's the most important, take the amendment that Senator Cox had put forward, take the amendment that Senator Denham put forward, but by this, you're saying they're not the most important. State employees are more important than the aged, the blind, the disabled. I urge a no vote on this.
Is there further debate or discussion? Further debate or discussion, members? If not, Senator Correa, you may close.
Thank you. All of us here have made some excellent points on the priorities of the state, and I would just recommend, in order to address all these most important facts brought out today, we should start passing our budgets on time. I ask for an aye vote.
Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? No. Alquist? Ashburn? No. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Denham? No. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? No. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Smidian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee? Yee, aye. Cox, no. Mr. President, ayes 23, noes 10.
Ayes 23, noes 10. Senator Correa? Would you like to place a call, or would you like us to announce the vote, Senator? Ayes 23, noes 10. The bill fails. Reconsideration is granted without objection. All right, members, that we are returned now to the Senate third reading file. We are at file item 30 on the Senate third reading file. However, before we go there, Senator Wolk, for what purpose do you rise?
File item 39, please.
If I could ask you to hold as we go
shall.
through the file in file order and dispense with other business. Senator Corbett, on file item 30, passed. File item 31, Senator Corbett. File item 32, Senator Corbett. Thank you. File item 34, Senator Leno. Senator Leno, file item 34, would you like to pass? File item 36, Committee on Public Safety, Senator Leno. Pass. File item 37, Senator Leno. Pass. File item 38, Senator Cedillo. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 1190 by Senator Cedillo, an act relating to animal control officers.
Members, this is a very simple bill that simply brings animal control officers training into a more coherent state with other training for post. No opposition to this bill. Excellent candidate for a unanimous roll call. I ask for an aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Is there any objection to the unanimous roll call? Substituting unanimous roll call? Once again, is there any objection to substituting the unanimous roll call?
Flores is off the floor. 32.
Without objection, ayes 32, noes 0, unanimous roll call. That takes us to file item 39, Senator Wolk.
Thank you,
Secretary will read.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 78 by Senator Wolk relative to National Library Week.
Thank you. Members, SCR 78 will declare April 11 through 17 as National Library Week. Sponsored by the California Library Association, the resolution commemorates the numerous contributions that public libraries make to our communities throughout the state. They provide extraordinary services, online homework help for K-12 students, literacy training for adults, of course, books, CDs, everything available, and finance workshops for our seniors. In the economic downturn, people are using libraries even more. Please join with me in praising the great work of California libraries for National Library Week next week. Thank you. I ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Any objection to substituting the unanimous roll call? Without objection, ayes 32, noes 0. The resolution is adopted. File item 40, Senator DeSaulnier. Secretary will read.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 93 by Senator DeSaulnier, relative to Summer Learning and Wellness Month.
Thank you, Mr. President. SCR 93 establishes July of 2010 as Summer Learning and Wellness Month. We have a task force that some of you are members of, had numerous meetings that quite astonishingly, we've realized more and more that this time when kids are out of school, particularly for challenged students in California, that whether it's their physical health or their intellectual health, whatever gains they make during the school year, they often lose when they're out of school. This just acknowledges that and provides for time. July of this year is recognizing that this is important. I would ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, is there any objection to we're going to call the roll. Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? Aye. Alquist? Ashburn? No. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Flores? Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Semidian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye. Cox? Aye. Denham, aye. Mr. President, ayes 28.
Ayes 28, noes 1. The resolution is adopted. Members, that completes our business on the Senate third reading. Senator Kehoe, for what purpose do you rise, ma'am?
This is Assembly Concurrent Resolution Item 62, if it serves your purposes, Mr. President. 63, beg your pardon. Thank you.
File item 63, Secretary will read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 82 by Assemblymember Hall, relative to public education and discrimination-free zones.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This ACR encourages California's public education institutions to designate each campus as a discrimination-free zone to provide a safe haven from discrimination on our college campuses. It further encourages those institutions to develop and enact policies to support tolerance and acceptance of others and enacts procedures such as counseling services and conflict management that meaningfully address acts of discrimination that occur on our campuses. Unfortunately, as we're all aware, in recent months, events at UC San Diego, UC Davis, and CSU Monterey Bay have demonstrated acts of racism, sexism, and anti-Semitism. Intolerance, unfortunately, is still present on our school campuses. In a state such as California, as diverse as we are, it's crucial that our educational institutions are a safe place for all students. I ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Senator Romero.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to add my voice to this as Chair of Senate Education. Members, we had a very thoughtful discussion about this resolution in Education Committee. I just want to point out to those members who didn't have an opportunity to hear the debate, there was a fourth grader, a little boy named Jordan, who testified before the committee of a personal experience that had happened to him, where in a classroom setting, the N-word had been used. A little fourth grader took it upon himself to try to get some intervention on his campus, and until today, apparently, there still has not been an adequate or sufficient response. That little fourth grader is the future of the state of California, and he's not here with us today, but certainly his testimony registered with us, whether it's in the fourth grade or whether it's on any of the campuses of our prestigious university systems. We should all work together to ensure that there's tolerance and discrimination-free zones of learning and education. I respectfully ask for an aye vote on this measure.
Do we have further debate or discussion? Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? Alquist? Onnested, no. Alquist? Ashburn? Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? No. Denham? No. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Flores? Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Smidian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee? Yee, aye. Mr. President, ayes 22, no 7.
Ayes 22, no 7. The resolution is adopted. Members, we proceed now to the consent calendar. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 1090, Senate Bill 1221.
Members, without objection, we will take action in a single vote on both the consent calendar and the special consent calendar, which was previously announced. Without objection? Any objection to the substitution of the unanimous roll call? Ayes 32, noes 0. The consent calendar and special consent calendars are adopted. If there is no other business, Senator Steinberg, the desk is clear.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The Senate will reconvene Monday at 1 o'clock.
Thank you.
1 o'clock.
Thank you, Senator Steinberg. The Senate will be in recess until 3:30, at which time the adjournment motion will be made. We will reconvene. Before we recess, members, Senator Liu, for what purpose do you rise?
Just to announcement, Subcommittee 1 on Education will meet in 15 minutes in room 3191.
Thank you. If there's no further business, members, the Senate will be in recess until 3:30, at which time the adjournment motion will be made. We will reconvene Monday, Senator Steinberg, pursuant to your Solomonic decision at 1 p.m. We are in recess.